In a dramatic turn of events, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer faced a humiliating moment in Parliament as his controversial VAT policy on private schools came under fire. The policy, which imposes a 20% tax on private school fees, has led to the closure of multiple schools, leaving parents and students in turmoil. During a heated Prime Minister's Questions (PMQs) session, Starmer was openly accused of lying, sparking chaos in the House of Commons. The tension in the chamber was palpable as Starmer attempted to defend his policy while facing mounting criticism. Starmer's VAT policy, introduced as part of Labour's plan to fund state education, has backfired spectacularly. The tax has forced several private schools to shut down, with many blaming Labour's reckless taxation for making their operations unsustainable. One such institution, the Village School for Girls in Camden, located in Starmer's own constituency, announced its closure, directly attributing the decision to Labour's VAT hike and national insurance increases. Reports indicate that at least 77 independent schools in England have closed since Labour first proposed the tax, with more expected to follow. Small and mid-sized private schools, particularly those outside London and the South East, are bearing the brunt of the policy. Parents who have made significant sacrifices to afford private education for their children are now left scrambling as schools close and students are forced into an already overburdened state education system. The irony of Starmer's policy is not lost on critics. The Prime Minister himself attended a grammar school in Surrey that later became private during his time there. When confronted about his own privileged education, Starmer dismissed the criticism, stating, "I was a scholarship boy at my school and very proud of it." However, his policy now threatens to eliminate the very scholarships and bursaries that allowed him to access private education, leaving many to accuse him of hypocrisy. Critics argue that Starmer's policy disproportionately harms middle-class families who struggle to afford private education, while elite institutions like Eton and Harrow remain largely unaffected. The result is a growing divide in educational opportunities, with state schools facing increased pressure to accommodate displaced students. During PMQs, the tension over the VAT policy reached a boiling point when Conservative MP Victoria Atkins openly called out Starmer's claims that the policy was not causing school closures, shouting across the chamber, "That is a lie." The Speaker of the House was forced to intervene, demanding Atkins withdraw her statement, but the damage was done. The moment highlighted the growing frustration and disbelief among MPs over Starmer's refusal to acknowledge the real-world consequences of his policy. Starmer's response to the criticism was equally contentious. He defended the VAT policy, claiming it would fund 6,500 new teachers for state schools. However, his assertion that the policy was not harming private schools was met with widespread skepticism, especially as more schools continued to close under the weight of the tax. The fallout from the VAT policy has extended beyond Parliament. The Independent Schools Council has launched a High Court challenge, arguing that the tax violates the human rights of children and parents by disrupting their education. Even within Labour, there are signs of dissent. Some MPs, including Labour's Rachel Maskell, have warned that the policy is too blunt and may need to be revised to protect smaller schools. If the legal challenge succeeds, Starmer could be forced into an embarrassing U-turn. If he refuses, Labour risks being held responsible for one of the biggest education crises in modern British history. The policy has already created a rift within the party, with some MPs calling for exemptions for smaller schools to mitigate the damage. The VAT debacle has dealt a significant blow to Starmer's credibility. His insistence that the policy is not causing school closures despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary has left many questioning his honesty and leadership. The Prime Minister's detached and dismissive attitude during PMQs only reinforced the perception that he is out of touch with the realities faced by ordinary families. As schools close, teachers face unemployment, and state schools struggle to cope with the influx of students, Starmer's policy is increasingly seen as a failure. The Prime Minister's refusal to acknowledge the damage caused by his VAT hike has left him isolated, even within his own party. The VAT policy has become a defining issue for Starmer's leadership. With legal challenges mounting, schools closing, and public anger growing, the Prime Minister faces a critical test. Will he double down on the policy, risking further damage to his credibility in the education system? Or will he bow to pressure and revise the policy, potentially alienating his base? One thing is clear: Starmer's VAT policy has sparked a crisis that shows no signs of abating. As the fallout continues, the Prime Minister's ability to lead and make sound decisions is under intense scrutiny. For now, the British public is left to grapple with the consequences of a policy that was meant to improve education but has instead created chaos. What do you think? Does Keir Starmer have the moral authority to remain as Prime Minister? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates on British politics. Stay tuned for the next video.